Hello venturers! Well, we're getting started on our very first chainmail project, and you can see we have the flower or star, however you want to call it. Didn't mean to be coughing there. And so I have broken up the kit so that all the pieces that you require are in a little baggie. And the first thing I'd like you guys to do is just double check that I gave you everything. What you should see in each baggie is 5 of the scales, 11 of the medium-sized gold rings, 10 of the large gold rings, oops, I see I've been knocking things around, and 5 of the tiny little rings. So for those of you who have your kit, now is a good time to be opening up the jump rings. For the medium and larger ones, you can use the tool. So what I'm going to do for those of you who are new at this is I have the ring, the top of the jump ring that is open at 12 o'clock. That shadow is going to be something else. And then I have my pliers at 3 o'clock, and then with my little tool I am going to kind of pop it in there, and the idea is that my bend is at 6 o'clock. This is where I want the ring to move, and I'm twisting it to open this up. We don't want to be pulling it apart. You will not get it back together again, okay? If you're doing something without the little tool and you're just using the pliers, again, you have the opening at 12 o'clock, you have the pliers at 6 and 9, and you just give it a little twist. Okay. And it is much nicer to have all of these done in advance than to try to do it as you go. You will go much more efficiently. Okay. And so I have got all of them ready to go, and we can start building our project. So let's take a look at this one to begin with. What we're going to be doing to start off with is we're going to be taking these medium-size jump rings, and we're going to be putting 2 of them on each of the scales. Then that 11th jump ring is going to go in the middle. Now I do have written instructions. They do it a little bit differently. This makes a little bit more sense to me. Maybe I'm just crazy. But I had an easier time doing it this way when I tried it the second time around. And I'm going to put 2 of them onto the scale. And then to close up, I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I did to open with my pliers. Again, I'm going to have that opening at 12 o'clock, my pliers at 6 and 9, and I'm going to give a little twist so that my jump ring closes up. Hopefully you saw that. You'll also notice that the scales have got a curve to them. I don't know if you can, let's see where we can see it. There we go. See, there's a bit of a curve. When we get this done, we're going to have all of the these petals, so to speak, pointing in the same direction, and they're going to cup in one way. Whoops. And it will look nicer that way. And I'm just going to continue on, and I think I'm going to shut that curtain because that's kind of an annoying light. And I will come back to you once I have all 5 of my scales or petals ready to go for the next step. Alrighty, I'm back, and as you can see, I've gotten 2 jump rings on each of the scales. They're not connected to anything quite yet. That's our next step. And so I'm going to be taking that last medium-sized ring, and I'm going to be putting it through each of these jump rings. And I want to keep an eye on the position of the scale to make sure that that curve is facing in the same direction. And it's going to get a little crowded here. I'll reposition. and then I'll close the jump ring. This is going to be a little tougher because I'm probably now closer at being at, I don't know, 2 and 10:30, I don't know, 1 and 10:30. It's not quite as pretty, and I'm going to give it a close. And now when I spread out my creation, you can see I have got the start of my flower. Okay, next step. Now we're moving on to these big guys. And what I'm going to do with this size jump ring is I'm going to go through one jump ring from one petal and connect it with one jump ring at the next petal. So the two side by side, and then I'm going to close it up. And I'm going to do this on the front, and I'm going to do the same thing on the back. And it will still be really floppy. Things don't start to tighten up until the very last few steps. So you can see now that I've connected this one from this scale with the next one beside it, which is from the scale beside it, right? So I'm going to continue along, and then I will see you back here in a few moments. So the front now is done, and we have the big jump rings now being shared between two scales. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to repeat the process. And so really what's happening is these scales are being trapped between, they're being trapped between two of these big jump rings. And again, I'm going to continue around until I've used my remaining jump rings. It's a little fiddly. I think you guys will be able to do it quite nicely. So, funny story, this is actually the second time I filmed this, because when I did the first go around, didn't get the camera going. Whoops, talk about a rookie YouTuber error. I can tell you Alex got a good chuckle out of that when he got home and he heard my story. I'm sure you experienced YouTubers are saying the exact same thing. So I've got two of them, I want to get one. Come on, come on. There we go. Six and nine, 6 and 9. Or sorry, 3 and 9, not 6 and 9. Alrighty, so this is my last one. I'm going to flip it over one more time. And it's starting to look a whole lot more like our star. So this is where it reminds me of doing that classic scouting activity, which is lashing. And this is almost like lashing when we start to frap, right? So I'm going to take these itty bitty little ones, and I'm going to go in between the two scales, and I am going to grab this front large link and the back one, and I'm going to get them both. Oops, I have to actually open this up a little further. Apparently didn't quite open it as far as I needed. Okay, and I'm going to grab the two links and then close them. And this will start to tighten up our flower. This is what gives it the structure. And this is why you need to have itty bitty little needle nose pliers, is to get that jump ring done up. Okay, and I'm going to go around Notice that these rings are pointing this way and not down, so if things don't look correct, just take a look to see if you've got it positioned correctly. And again, I need to open up the jump ring way open. Grab the front, grab the back, close it up. And then I'm just going to continue around with it. Now we could also get into doing double petaled flowers. I didn't buy those kits, but that would be easy enough for us to go to our lovely supplier, the Ring Lord, and order some, and maybe in some different colors, and we can start making some more of these. Now that I know exactly what sizes we need, what sizes we need to make these decorations. Now, someone asked, are these meant to be Christmas ornaments? And well, that's how we're going to market them. It's kind of our game plan. Whoops, these are a little slippery. And then the question is, how are we going to hang them? And so I was going to pester Scout Malcolm, and we'll probably just drill a little teeny tiny hole in the tip of one of the scales, and we will be in business. Okay, so this you can see how much this is tightened up as I've started essentially frapping. Frapping. This last one is probably the most difficult one to get in, because you do have to kind of just get in there. But I think you guys will be able to do it. Don't give up on it. And anytime you need to redo something, you just open them up, right? At 3 and 9. And our flower's done. Okay, gang, happy chain mailing. And I will be dropping these off in the next little while. Only 36 left to go from this batch to be made.